Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a Tyranids at LVO brief review. I'm not going to go too in depth about what the Tyranids did, but I did want to talk about the detachments that we saw get get up there. I'll go ahead and spoil it now. Surprisingly, it was an invasion fleet. I'm going to talk about the top six of these lists. The cutoff is at 100. I just figured that's a good one. A lot of X and one also stops there too. So really want to give my quick thoughts on it overall because I gotta admit I'm a bit impressed. I will say I think from what I understood is that Nathaniel here was going to play in the shadow round. That's why there's an extra round here, but had to leave to catch a flight or something, I believe. But we'll talk about their list even more when we get there. So let's go ahead first into Matt Evans' assimilation swarm list. Man, I have to admit, I didn't think that the Tyrant Guard block was still the play with the changes. I figured you still maybe take both of the tyrants just for the CP generation and to be annoying as hell. Why couldn't I say that? But I figured you drop them for maybe ignore an assimilator and then let everybody have to scramble to play around that. But seems like Tyrant Guard and spoiler for something else, seems like Tyrant Guard stocks are still pretty high. That might be the new angle for us right now. I shouldn't even say the new angle, but maybe the best angle. I was also happy to see Zoe's the think tank and the simulation swarm. Monstrosities have heard me talk about how I really like this play here, and now with the change, where you can have, would you look at that? We remembered the Ripper swarms exist. I really didn't understand what the hemming and hawing about, oh, I don't want to say Ripper swarms was, so that's why I made that dedicated video, but look at that. Just three little guys, or I guess three little bases of guys, little guys, for some healing, and you just get nothing but benefits out of them. So, Tyrant Guard make a return. Venom Thropes. This one's a little bit spicy. Venom Thropes on top of, well, you got the Pyrovores. This one is a little bit pricey. Um, Pyrovores, Raveners. Just was talking about how everybody has been really high up on Raveners lately, and we see them again. You see Haruspex make an appearance, just one, and one Psychophage. I really like the list. Now, I guess I probably should have done what everybody else does, where it's, for the characters we have so on and so forth. But I don't know. I just want to talk about highlights because we know what the list, for the most part, look like about this point. So yeah, Think Tank instead of a third Tyrant Guard block is pretty nice. I do really enjoy that. Ripper Swarms, it kind of just, I don't understand. It makes no sense to me why you wouldn't just take 3 units of them for 75 points. Goodness. Loving it. Loving it. Now, moving on, we are now going to Nathaniel's. And also, this was insane. Insane. And I'm pretty sure the only loss was to the person that won it all, if I remember correctly, right? Deathwatch? Goodness. That. Also, the models were awesome. That was awesome. Nathaniel, if you happen to watch this, I completely forgot you were my Vanguard Invader GOAT, a Vanguard Onslaught GOAT, because saw you play at, was it Nova? Was it, no. I remember Derek Abshe won that one, or at least also had the same record. I can't remember. But I remember seeing these models on stream before, and I completely didn't take that into account. Either way, Vanguard Onslaught being our, I guess, de facto second best. I don't know how we want to address this. I mean, on the scores, it's like the difference of 3 places, right? But we have Nathaniel's list. Broodlord Gene Stealer blocks still coming out in force. You have Death Leaper, Neuro Tyrant, Hunting Grounds, Wing Type Tyrant Chameleonic, two Lictors, two Neurolictors. making a resurgence. So that's 5 Lictor variants. Well, not 5 Lictor variants, 3 Lictor variants. Death Leaper is like a turbo, just Lictor, I guess. Um, Either way, Death Leaper, 2 Lictors, 2 Neurolictors, squads of Raveners. Raveners. Their twin linked weapons and better speed is better for Vanguard Onslaught. That's all I've got to say. You know I like the Von Ryan's Leapers. Love to see a little addition of that. And from what I saw on stream, also get sent up there. Go ahead, tie something up really quickly. Love to see it. And the Screamer Killer. So, the thing that everybody wonders about Screamer Killer list, or Screamer Killers in list, is how do I deliver it and get it to places that I need it to be in? And well, Vanguard Onslaught does have a stratagem that we've seen work with a Harridan. We've seen work with several things. I'll go ahead and spoil this. I was toying around with that idea for the Norns, into which you can bring something on from reserves a turn earlier than you should. And, +1 to the turn, right? So turn 1, bring a Screamer Killer down to the edge, do a Battle Shock test where you want your Neurolictor around. And it picked up a I'm forgetting the name of the Deathwatch vehicle that it picked up, but that was surprising that it just right there. Really quick usage. So Nathaniel's list was pretty entertaining. Went up there, punched things, and had punch and a very good scoring from what we can see. It was pretty nice to see. And the models were friggin' rad. They were like chrome and conversions and stuff. It was pretty decent. Then we have Michael George's, where there is Crusher Stampede with again triple Tyrant. I mean, well, it's a Tyrant, right? Either way, Hive Tyrant, Neuro Tyrant, Swarm Lord, Biovores, double Exocrine, Haruspecs, 2 Lictors, Norn Emissary, 2 Tyrannifexes, and a block of Zoes for the Neuro Tyrant. No Tyrant Guard on the Hive Tyrant or Swarm Lord, just more. CP generation, got a Vect in there. Lethal with the Hive Tyrant for the Exocrines. It looks pretty nice. It looked pretty nice. Rupture Fexes, double. No acid spray on them. Go ahead and throw a Norn Emissary in the middle of the board, I'm assuming. Didn't get a chance to see this one in action from me. I don't know if it was on a stream, but this is pretty nice to see that third best Tyranid list was Crusher Stampede. Then here we go with Jeff Peterson. Fourth, Vanguard Onslaught back at it again with shenanigans. Brood Lords, Nerd Tyrant, Wing Tyranid Prime. Gargoyles. I love this idea that I don't know if it happened. I didn't get to see it. But the fact of you can have 2 gargoyle bricks come down early and already get to jamming up your opponent on turn 1. I love that. Biovores, Exocrines, Gene Stealers, Lictors, Raveners. 1 brick of melee warriors. I have my feelings about it, but like to see it because there's also Tyrannifex, but a block of Von Ryan's Leapers. 6 man, 140 points. And Zoe's to go with the Neuro Tyrant that doesn't have hunting grounds this time around. Interesting. Pretty cool to see. I'm loving the VRLs. Hey, and so far we got the top 2 Vanguard Invader list bringing them out. I'm just saying, if there were any more doubters about the VRLs, go ahead and splash them in. See how they get you some mileage. So yeah, especially after I'm assuming turn 1 Gargoyle Jail. Please. Moving to Brandon with Assimilation Swarm. We have Hive Tyrant, Neuro Tyrant, Hormagaunts, 2 20-man of Termagants, Biovores, no Turvy, Biovores, Exocrine, triple, Lictor, Norn Assimilator, 2 Psychophages, 3 pyrovores, tyrant guard brick, and venom thropes. Okay. All right. That's man. Okay. I'm I'm curious about the termagants. I'm very curious about the termagants because I want to know why two 20-mans of termagants instead of more hormagaunts. Hormagaunts, you can. This is what I'm a fan of, right? This is me speaking strictly from what I like out of Assimilation Swarm in terms of battle line. Hormagaunts, bricks of them can get lethals in melee. Now, mind you, I understand that the Hive Tyrant can still give the Termagants lethals, but you have, well, we are seeing shard launchers come out. Oh, wait. I'm just noticing these are Devourers. These are not Spine Fist. Interesting. Interesting. And 2 times Strangle Webs. Okay. I think I'm understanding a bit more. Are we using the strat? I don't think we are. Maybe for the Tyrant Guard block with, I would assume, the Hive Tyrant? No, Instinctive Defense is on the Neuro Tyrant. Okay. That is interesting. And the Hive Tyrant is, I'm guessing, just in the back. I mean, Neuro Tyrant does give them +1 to hit, possibly +1 to wound if battle shocked. And then, but the Hive Tyrant, Biophagic Flow, so you want that to go up and out. And you, I would assume you don't just keep the Termagants until later? If the Hive Tyrant has Biophagic Flow? This is interesting. I would like more more information on how this played. Because personally, I like Hormagaun's bricks just for somebody to not expect that that's 60-ish attacks, lethal hits, -1 AP, coming their way, possibly for free, with a Hive Tyrant. So, interesting that there's only one 10-man of Hormagaunts, but kitted out Termagants and no Turvy. Just nothing but relying on Psychophages, Pyrovores. Yeah, Psychophages and Pyrovores. Oh, Norn Assimilator. To do the healing. Okay, Brandon. Interesting. And finally, we have Reuben, who we've seen this list before. I will say, uh, saw from the ending of 6++ Gaming who this was. We've seen 6++ Gaming's Bug Watch that this was Spacebug Studios. Covered this before too. This is the Tyrant Guard list apparently still works in Synaptic Nexus. I've gotta admit, I was a bit surprised. Action 1. So, I'm not going to talk too much more about that list because I believe I saw that they are going to make a video on their time at LVO with the list. So, I'm just going to say, goodness, Synaptic Nexus Tyrant Guard still effective. But yeah, beyond that, let's go back to the things as to why I think, right? Let's organize these a bit into Assimilation Swarm. Then we have Vanguard Onslaught, Crusher Stampede, Synaptic Nexus. Now, I'm not going to talk about Synaptic Nexus, but because go ahead and watch their video when that comes out. But Assimilation Swarm. What's going on right now is a very, very killy meta. So, the way that I see it, and the way that I like this, is that with Ripper Swarms, and with Pyrovores, Psychophage, Haruspecs, if your opponent is killing these things because they don't want you to keep healing, I still like Brood Guard Impulse. I have to go back and watch the VOD. I didn't get a chance to this weekend. Um, to see exactly how this played out, but to see that Tyrant guard blocks and Zoe's with Venom throws still can do the job, and we have to talk about the 7 Pyrovores. That hurts my wallet just looking at it, but I've already been a fan of triple Pyrovores because that's 3d6 plus 3 flamers at 611 ignores cover twin linked. That's still going to pick up bullshit chaff outside of whatever else is coming down. And then like a hammer unit for just the horror specs, and like the Tyrant Guard don't do damage. They absorb damage. They don't really do damage. And then Zoe's with the think tank on biophagic flow. Yeah. And again, instinctive defenses fights first. Free heroic if you're around a harvester. Alright, so they're good at absorbing damage. And you can only put that on the Hive Tyrant compared to on the Swarm Lord. Neurotyrant, you're putting out those Neuraloids. You have biophagic flow putting out, extending your range for your harvesters to heal things. Yeah, I like the vision. I definitely like the vision. I'm just, there's like how many invuln saves are we actually looking at here? Well, the Zoes do give an aura of 6-up invuln. But beyond that, I can't believe that in a more killy meta, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 data sheets that have an invuln on them and aren't like this list made it. I'm a little bit surprised at that aspect. I figured that for assimilation swarm, you would need a bit more of safety net on that, but it looks like we are just health tank, bullet sponge list all the way. Goodness. And comparing that over here to Brandon's, it seems like you just have to throw bodies. Throw bodies of bulk. And I mean, we knew that out of assimilation swarm, but it doesn't look to be a, alright, here is my unkillable thing. My unkillable one thing. Outside of like a Norn assimilator. But again, we're not seeing more Norn emissaries, more maleceptors in these lists. We're seeing, hey, I am taking bodies at you that it is more annoying for you to get rid of them than it is for me to keep them alive. So out of that, I think that's pretty neat out of the development of Assimilation Swarm, and I hope it continues. Going over to Vanguard Onslaught, I don't know what much more to say on this, except the return of the Neurolictors and Raveners. Raveners. Von Ryan's Leapers. Von Ryan's Leapers. Like the Screamer Killer here is good tech. I do like that. But yeah, I mean, we've seen Vanguard Onslaught. And I guess the speed makes up for what we're dealing with right now. Right now, we aren't in a very heavy melee meta where you start wondering about why are the World Eaters punching me in the face? Why are the Black Templars punching me in the face? Why are the Blood Angels hitting me in the face? We're not in that right now. So the speed of Vanguard Onslaught kind of covers the aspect of everybody shooting you, especially when you take into consideration the deep striking and the lone op 18 inches. Raveners with the 10-inch move being infantry, you could either, with uppy downy, you can either put them out of sight or you lone up them and let them advance and charge up the board and tag something. You also have early tags with the Brood Guard, Brood Lord, and Gene Stealers scouting, advancing, and charging very early with some screened out places with the lictors. And from what we see, the extra power of Screamer Killer and the test from Vanguard Onslaught, because you can use Surprise Assault to trigger a test. with the Neurolictors seem to give Nathaniel that punching power needed for a couple of these matchups. So if we go back to using Vanguard Onslaught as our answer, I don't know. I think it's a very clock is ticking detachment because there's like a month or two when it's good for us, but surely every time something comes back around and just knocks it down a peg. So I don't know if this is just the perfect timing for this or if it has staying power. Maybe we've needed to spec into Raveners, and I've said Von Ryan's Leapers for a while now. Maybe that's the angle that we needed to be shooting for, but I'm just saying, if you have Raveners, it would be worth a shot. Go ahead and check that out and see if that's the angle. Looking pretty nice. And then Crusher Stampede. Also, now that I think about it, let's talk about this part. Double Tyrant. We're not counting Neuro Tyrant as this double Tyrant discussion. Double Tyrant. We're seeing double Tyrant and Assimilation Swarm, Crusher Stampede, and Synaptic Nexus. Is it time for us to accept that for a fifth of your list, you take double Tyrants and start winning games? Is that the angle? Is that the angle? Double Tyrant and half of the top 6 Tyranid list? That's that's insane, actually. That is. I know I've made a video talking about Double Tyrant where it's Swarmlord and the Winged Hive Tyrant. But we are doubling down on Walkrent plus Swarmlord wins games. That is a. Oh, man. Whew, I think that might need a separate video for itself. Maybe not. Maybe. Maybe we just throw that here. Goodness. Double Tyrant. But yeah, Crusher Stampede. Exocrine Horror Specs. Man. Man. Okay. And again, I'm just not going to talk about this one because please look for Spacebug Studios to talk about that one. But to think that we're looking at double Tyrants being the LVO angle. Maybe. Maybe. And does that mean that you have to run detachments that benefit that? Like, mind you, Vanguard Onslaught isn't looking at that angle whatsoever. And again, I say that's the clock is ticking on how long that's good for. But beyond that, if you want to play other detachments, like do we start taking Tyrant Guard blocks? Do you take the Assimilation Swarm build here? I mean here. An invasion fleet. Or you get sustained, possibly lethals for your think tank. And sustained hits 5 up field no pain for Tyrant Guard blocks. Because in Synaptic Nexus, you have a 5 up invuln and -1 armor of contempt. Does it need to be where you have double the stratagems in Synaptic Nexus where you can use one strat to give the 5 up invuln on one unit and -1 or -1 AP on another unit for Synaptic Nexus, but then you go over to Assimilation Swarm and you are relying on feel no pains from Psychophage? From one Psychophage. And regenning whenever possible to keep the dream alive? Oh, maybe it's a matter of time before we do throw this in invasion fleet. Because we already have one mad lad throwing it in synaptic nexus. Maybe that's our angle. Maybe that's our angle. You know, not to completely go against the Vanguard onslaught. Like I don't want to just disregard this. We're also seeing Neurotyrant. Neurotyrant's back. We're also seeing Neurotyrant. Is the triple Tyrant build our way? Is the triple Tyrant build our way? I don't know. Genuinely don't know. But I'm going to play around with that idea. Now, of course, this is just LVO. I didn't do this for Nottingham. I'll go back and look at that. I don't think I'll make that a video. Because it's already been like 2 weeks. Or a week. 2 weeks? Whatever. It's been some time. So if I was going to do that, I should have done that sooner. But, yeah. Maybe this is our best characters. Maybe this lineup is our best characters. Now, personally, you know, I can't fight this. I can't be like, well, you know, like that. I'm not even going to try to do that. But I do want to give my reasoning for why I did Swarm Lord Winged Hive Tyrant beyond the fact that it is just like, if you've seen that video, you've seen that video. But I also really I prefer a Maliceptor over 6 Tyrant card. Personally. You know, that's 10 points more now, but previously it was point for point. But to see that maybe we've all been discrediting Tyrant Guard, that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know. That's going to keep me up at night. Tyrant Guard blocks could be the way that we deal with the current meta. It could just be a fleeting meta thing, just like how I feel Vanguard Onslaught usually is. Could be that. But for at least now, I think it's worth checking out. So yeah, we have Crusher Stampede, Vanguard Onslaught, and Assimilation Swarm as our 3 best detachments. And you might be asking why I'm not also throwing Synaptic Nexus into this, even though we have a list that was up there with it. Cut off at the, well, I shouldn't say cut off like that, but like top 100, our 6th list on that one. Why I'm not including that. Well, outside of Reuben, and like there was a sprinkling of a few other lists. Like for example, there was a Synaptic Nexus list that had 1 Neurotyrant, but 18 Zoes. And I really didn't have any much more to say about that while I was going through things. But beyond that, Synaptic Nexus did not do well across the board from what I saw. Maybe I need to crunch the numbers again, but Synaptic Nexus, I like I said, I don't have faith in it anymore. But hey, maybe we all need to pivot to Spacebug Studios Synaptic Nexus build instead of how I wasn't too much of a fan of that many Norns. But what if Norns and Tyrant Guard win games? I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to give this video as a, well, what the fuck is going on? Well, you look at that for Tyranids, and it is looking pretty darn interesting. Will we start winning everything? I don't think so. There's some scary things out there right now. But for the time being, to keep us alive, maybe keep looking at Assimilation Swarm, Vanguard Onslaught. I didn't see many Crusher Stampede, so I can't even say that much. So I guess I have to knock Crusher Stampede out too. But for right now, at least be looking at Assimilation Swarm and Vanguard Onslaught. So yeah, If you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.